One, jump out just in case. 1, 2, 3. Right. Yeah, definitely jumped that time.
I don't know why. I always know what's coming.
Right. Podcast day. And since, we're still in lockdown, everything's rubbish, I thought we would talk about something that, can help people out, be a bit informative, give our opinions as well, give our sort of, because last week we done wrestling, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. The week before that it was depressing because we talked about Johnny Depp. The week before that, what was the week before that?
It was supposed to be Halloween, but we lost the
thing. Yeah, that's right, we lost the thing. Yeah, right, okay. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about this time, most rewatchable films of all time.
The most rewatchable
films. And we'll list them in the description so people know.
I think I already know what most of yours are going to be, and I'm sure you probably know what most of mine are going to be.
Yeah, but the millions don't necessarily know. So I'll start off.
Okay.
And I always say this, anyone who argues with me on this point shall die a painful death. Pirates of the Caribbean, original trilogy, easily, I think, the most rewatchable trilogy of all time. And that's a very controversial statement. Because there's a lot of good... obviously, what the best... Everyone knows what the best trilogy in the world is. It's not even an argument at this point. It is The Lord of the Rings. But...
I wonder how many people think it's not that, though. Like, it's something else.
Do you know what? Every time I look on lists online and say, look for the best trilogy of all time, I've never once seen a list that doesn't have Lord of the Rings at number one. I've never, ever seen a list. A lot of people put, The Godfather and stuff on there, but the third film was a bit amateurish. But well, anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Shut up. Pirates of the Caribbean, especially, which one?
I always say Dead Man's Chest.
Definitely Dead Man's Chest. Easily the most rewatchable. One of the most rewatchable films of all time.
Just for Johnny Depp, to be honest, I feel like he makes it because you have the likes of Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom, that the more serious characters at times. They are sometimes humorous, but Johnny Depp just makes the movies. I think
it's amazing that film is nearly 2.5 hours long. Doesn't feel 2.5 hours long, and every time you watch it, you can laugh at the jokes.
Yeah, just for me, even though it's daft, the jar of dirt thing. I don't know why.
Oh God, have you seen that? Have you seen that meme? Have you seen the meme?
No, I don't know if I wanted to know what the meme is.
No, it's just him going, look what I've got. I've got a jar of dirt, and it's that scene. It's Amber Heard. I love stuff like that, man. Obviously, people are sort of going back and forwards on what they believe, but I just love that meme so much. I just love memes like that. Anyway, yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean. Now you say one.
Well, you've already said it. I was going to say Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You already said Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But just because I feel like you said, usually with trilogies, there's always one that's kind of It's usually always the second one, do you not think? I always think
that's a controversial statement as well.
Do you not think? Sometimes not.
Depends on I suppose it depends on the trilogy. But the most trilogies that I can think of, the second one's usually better.
See, because I feel like
Star Wars.
Star Wars, fair enough, yeah.
Of course. Godfather, Terminator.
Yeah.
Well, again, Godfather and Terminator, just depends on which one you prefer. Alien, I would say. It's not really a trilogy, but it's the second. I think the second film was better than the first one.
Fair enough. Anyway, yeah, I just feel like all the movies are really good, and they all because obviously they filmed them all together, didn't they? So it's all the continuity is there and stuff, and it's I just like them.
Do you know what? I saw something on this is another thing about Lord of the Rings, because people who watch should know by now that Lord of the Rings is my life. And I read this thing where it was little known facts you might not have noticed in the films, and then I read them all, and then I watched them again, and I was like, oh my God, that's so true. So there's one where it's it was the argument that Boromir is the most human character because he is.
Yeah.
And it's in Moria when Gimli's kneeling at the tomb of Balin and he's crying and everything. It says the only person to actually go over to Gimli and try and comfort him is Boromir. But you don't see it because he goes over and he puts his hand on his shoulder, but no one else does, and it doesn't. I don't know why that wasn't played on more, because it's
they should have played on the fact he was the most human out of them all.
I mean, obviously everyone knows that he plays with Merry and Pippin and sort of, not plays with them, but he
he trains with them.
Trains them.
He almost treats them like children, even though, because I know they look like children, but they're not children, are they? But he does.
And when they're on their sort of
The mountain.
The mountain.
And he's carrying them.
And he's the first one to say the hobbits won't survive, keep on going. And it's like no one else thinks of that, not even Gandalf thinks of that. And it's like, there's that, and then obviously, he saves them.
It's like those people that, like, it always annoys me, those people that say, like, they weren't sad when Boromir died. Like, how, like, you heartless humans.
If you can't crack a tail when Boromir dies, then you really are heartless.
I'd, like...
It is ridiculous.
I might not, like, cry, but, like, I'll get, like, teary-eyed. I'm like, oh.
I watch it sometimes when I've had, like, a bad day, and it makes my day even worse.
Yeah, because it's quite depressing, that
scene.
Then
but you watch that scene, then you watch when he actually talks to him, and that's another one. He dies, not only does he tell Aragorn that he tried to take the ring from Frodo, which he doesn't need to do, because none of them would have known that he tried. The first thing that he says to him, despite having 3 gigantic arrows in his chest, is they took the little ones, and it's like, come on. He is. We
could just do an entire podcast talking about Lord of the Rings, though,
just talking about Boromir. We could just sit here and talk about Boromir for 2 hours.
Like, if you're talking about, like, scenes, though, for, like, Lord of the Rings, just out of the 3 of them, I know you love it. It's the Rohirrim riding in at the last movie.
Such a good
you love
scene.
That one, don't you?
I
want to talk about that because I know how much you love it.
Such a good scene. Honestly, that's like...
It's such an underrated scene, to be fair. A lot of people don't think about that when they think of scenes.
There's a lot of scenes where it's just, like, pure heroism, and that is, to me, that's not heroism. That's courage. It's like heroism sort of define, unbeatable odds, which they do essentially. It's 6,000 against 150,000, of course. Yeah, it's define, but like
they know they're going to the depths.
Yeah, that's the point of the speech,
isn't it? He knows it's like, okay, we're going to die, but
it's that we're
gonna die like fighting.
It's the Viking mentality, isn't it? You're going to die, but we're going to make one hell of a ruckus as we go out. I love that scene so much. And do you know what else is a really quietly underrated scene in that film, and it's really because every time I hear it curdles my blood because it's awful, and it's when Éomer finds Éowyn.
Oh my god!
Screams just
it
runs through you, doesn't it?
Because it's like it's that thing, isn't it? Because you can Éomer is a really human character, and it's like, well, how would you react if that was me? Would you scream, or would you just be like, oh well, of course she died?
Yeah, well, it would depend, wouldn't it? I mean, if you'd broken your neck falling down the stairs, I would have been like, well, yeah, she was really clumsy.
It's about right.
She was really clumsy, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I suppose if you died next to the Witch King who you just killed, I would probably be kind of like, I'm not even sad. That's pretty badass. Yeah, good job, Éowyn.
Good for you, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Of course, then I would later find out that it was the Hobbit that actually killed the Witch King, but
that's a controversial statement. Don't take away. There's only very few female characters in the Lord of the Rings. 2. Don't take away from the one of them that did something. Okay.
Oh, come on. She fell in love with Aragorn because he beat up some of our people, and then she fell in love with Faramir because he told her to stop being depressing.
Well, yes.
That's not good character.
She's
literally, Aragorn turns up, beats up the ginger guy, and everyone's like... And she's just... Mind you, if he came to...
To be fair, there's only like 5 people in the whole of Rohan. I'm sure there wasn't many people for her to fall in love with. One of them was a brother.
Gimli. What about Gimli? Got a chin beard.
Chin beard? Where else does your chin go?
No, one of them...
chinny beard?
One of them sort of...
or just like...
The strap, where it's like a line.
Just a line like that?
Yeah. Not like one of these sort of douchey,
like pencil ones.
Yeah, not one of them, but like he's literally just got. It looks like Velcro, just like that. It's like about that thick, just on the length of his jaw. Anyway, we're not supposed to be sitting here talking about Lord of the Rings. Most rewatchable films. So we said Pirates of the Caribbean. You've said Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
Thing is, the hard thing with the Lord of the Rings trilogy that people say makes it not rewatchable is that most versions now are at least 2 to 3 hours long per film.
See, I don't even care. I could just sit and watch it and be like, this is a great movie.
Half the time we don't have the choice because my mum's got it on anyway, doesn't she?
Yeah. Either that or Harry Potter. So.
I'm going to say it, and a lot of people will disagree with me, including my mum. I don't think Harry Potter is all that rewatchable. But that might just be because my mum has seen it this isn't an exaggeration, millions of times she's seen it. It's because she has it on all the time. Even when, but like, I think there are certain movies that are rewatchable. Like, for me, Goblet of Fire is rewatchable. I like Goblet of Fire. Like Order of the Phoenix. Do you know Prisoner of Azkaban got voted the best Harry Potter film?
Did it? I mean,
I quite like Prison of Azkaban.
I like Prison of Azkaban as
Gary
well.
Oldman.
To be fair,
And it was the double turn.
Yeah, because with the
Peter Pettigrew. Well, you had 3 characters who you didn't fully know if they were good or bad, and it was not Snape, Sirius, Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew.
Well, Snape was kind of one because he was helping them, but then was like Snape. But then, to be fair, he was all the way through.
Oh, missed him. Yeah. So I would say, there's maybe 1 or 2 that are like Goblet of Fire, definitely.
I really like Goblet of Fire.
Because Goblet of Fire is when it got darker, wasn't it?
A lot of people kind of always overlook Goblet of Fire, even though it was kind of that pivotal moment in the movies.
I don't think Ralph Fiennes was better than that film. I think that one scene where he's in the graveyard was perfect. Voldemort.
No. We used to reenact that. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We used to
great. Tell the millions.
No, we did. I'm gonna tell them because obviously there was just the 2 of us. And so it was like we'd have to be all the characters from that moment when we would be like I'm thinking of a different saying, but I would be Harry and you would be Voldemort, obviously, because you
love Ralph Fiennes.
And it was just we used to like do it for Mum and Dad. Yeah. And just like the entire end fight scene of
that's getting cut out
of the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like literally the entire end from like when the auras came to like the final fight with Dumbledore and Voldemort, we would reenact the 2 of us as all the characters.
Right. Let's stop talking about the reenactment. It's good, that scene, right? Because I like that scene because everyone comes in with a cool pose, and that's what's important. Not saving these teenagers, making sure that when the white stuff sort of falls off you, that you're in a cool pose. You know, Shaka Paul gives it the I'm here.
Moody's kind of just like the
shit's about to go down, and Lupin's kind of like I am also here, and then Tonks just kind of goes.
No, she's like how are then, son, I'm ready.
I always
kind of like
you know Sirius has a cool one
where he just punches him, Malfoy, and he just punches him and piat.
Oh, thank God for Gary Oldman. Isn't the British Actor Society just the best? Like there's Americans who, you know, you've got a few good American actors who are like
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks
Meryl
is
Streep.
Precious, and so is Meryl Streep. But just the British are just the best. Let's face it, we've got the best Superman. Well, no, we've got the only Superman. We've got the best Batman by far. What else have we got?
The best Batman?
Yeah, Christian Bale.
Is he British?
Yeah, Welsh.
Is he?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Yes, he's Welsh.
He has an American accent?
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
You ever hear him talk? He sounds English.
Does he?
Yes.
How have I never realised that he's British?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
We've also got Obi-Wan.
Oh.
We've also got
That's a very controversial statement to say that Michael Caine is a national treasure. Fight me on it, I don't care.
Ian McKellen. Come on. We've got both Dumbledore and Gandalf. What does America have compared to Gandalf? They can't even say his name right, that's how bad they are. You ever heard an American say Gandalf? Gandalf. That's how they say it. Literally, in the film, they call him Gandalf, and for some reason, Americans call him Gandalf. I hate it so much when people can't pronounce people's names right. And it's just, drives me up the wall. Like, there's one in football, right? You won't know because you don't watch football. But there's a Chelsea player called N'Golo Kante. And literally, his name is spelled Kante. Right?
Okay.
So he's Ivorian. So I think he's Ivorian. And for some reason, they call him Conte. But you know what it is? It's because Martin Tyler, Chelsea used to have a manager called Conte. And that was his name, Conte.
Right.
But for some reason, Martin Tyler would call Conte Kante and Kante Conte. He would say both the names the wrong way around it, and I would sit there and I'd be going, I'm going to write a letter to Martin Tyler. It used to drive. I hate when people say people's names wrong. It's just the worst.
I'm really bad at saying people's names.
I know you are.
But it's not like a case of me knowing the pronunciation and yet saying a different pronunciation. If I don't know the pronunciation, then I'll say it wrong until I'm told it's wrong.
I feel like Americans just don't want to admit that they get it wrong because they say it wrong all the time, despite the fact that they probably know that it's wrong.
We should probably stop talking about this because we could offend them, you know.
Yeah, offend some Americans. Here's another one. Here's another rewatchable film because I rewatched it today. I actually rewatched both of them today. because I never watched the third one. What dropped?
My phone.
The Mummy.
The Mummy.
Not the recent one, the one with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz.
Yeah. The first two, not the third one.
No.
Because they recasted.
Rachel Weisz,
yeah.
yeah. And it didn't work, surprisingly.
I do really like The Mummy. I like the first one in particular. That's probably my favourite one.
Yeah.
The first one, yeah.
I just like Brendan Fraser.
Mm.
He seems like a funny bloke. Do you know he did all his own fights and stunts? It's impressive, actually. Yeah. He injured himself a lot. That's why he's sort of not in anything anymore, because he hurt himself a lot. Yeah. Because the thing is, the second one, a lot of people give it grief for the bad CGI. I need to start telling me I'm recording. Bad CGI on the Scorpion King, which is fair enough because.
Yeah, well, when was it made? Early 2000s,
2001, I think.
So fair enough, kind of.
No, but it was really bad CGI.
I mean, I know it was really bad. The Rock didn't look like The Rock.
No.
You have The Rock in the movie. You got to make The Rock look like the movie.
He looked like a jelly bean.
And that was when The Rock was The Rock as well. He's like now he's just kind of Dwayne Johnson, but now he was The Rock then.
Yeah, but I would say The Mummy, The Mummy 2, Mummy Returns. Definitely not the third one though. The third one's terrible. I hate the third one so much.
I feel like if they should have just made it about the son. To be fair, I know it was kind of about him anyway, but they should have just made it about him.
Fraser. I just cut out Brendan Fraser like that.
I know, but
Can I do my man a solid?
I know, but I just didn't like the recasting. It didn't work.
Yeah, there was no chemistry between them
Nah.
two. Tell you what I've been watching recently that it isn't a film, so and you might have heard it when you were coming. The Clone Wars. I've been watching the Clone Wars, the series again, because they're really, really watchable. Love them. I'm just about to get to Darth Maul coming back.
That's probably the most depressing thing about the fact they cancelled the other two movies in that trilogy following on from the Solo, is the fact we didn't actually get to see Darth Maul return. I mean, I know we kind of saw him in the Solo movie, but
we will get him back.
We didn't see him. I know, well, we have to in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series surely, but it's like, it's just depressing, innit?
Yeah.
It's like we're this close, people, and all the monks out there boycotted it.
Good point. Solo. That's a really rewatchable film.
Oh yeah, I really like
There,
Solo.
I said it. Out of all the Star Wars films, the most rewatchable is Solo.
Rogue One for me though. Rogue One's probably above Solo for me.
Yeah, those two are pretty close.
Slightly just because.
We're gonna get a lot of abuse of Star Wars fans for saying that. For saying both of those movies as opposed to any of the other ones.
You know, it's not that the other ones aren't rewatchable. I just feel like that's underrated rewatchable. Because to me, all the Star Wars last two.
Yeah, the last two. I think it's universally acknowledged now, but there are still some people who claim that it was only The Rise of Skywalker that knackered the trilogy up. It obviously wasn't. It's obviously both of the last two movies.
The Rise of Skywalker tried to fix what was already knackered.
Yeah. I say that because I haven't done my list yet. Have I done my? I haven't done my list. Of those, of the sequel trilogy, I hated The Force Awakens when it first came out. When I first saw it,
oh god, you did,
far too similar to A New Hope. But compared to the two films that came after it, it's quite
better.
Good. Yeah, it's at least an 8 as well. So I can't remember what my ranking was, but
I think the thing for you with that though is that you really, really got yourself like your hopes were too high. Because the trailers were really, really good, and you were like, oh my god, they're going to do this, oh my god, they're going to do that. You did the typical geeky thing that we always do, where we theorise and we like plan out a movie of what they're going to do, and we're like, oh my god, that's amazing. And when it doesn't happen, we're disappointed.
But the thing was that I had with Force Awakens was, right, you had the prequel trilogy, which again, people are now saying, they're actually good.
We're actually really good.
And it's only by comparison. But I thought, obviously, the first film was a disappointment to a lot of fans when it first came out because there was too much Gungan and not enough Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Which only adds to the appeal of Darth Maul, in my opinion. I think the fact that he's barely in it, the moments that he is in it, are amazing.
Yeah.
But there was that one, then there was Attack of the Clones, where they just kind of went, right, okay, lightsabers. That's all. There's just lightsabers. That's all we have. And there was good in that. Obviously, Christopher Lee. There's another one. There's another British one. Because Count Dooku was gigantically underrated. He's so cool. He's got the best looking lightsaber I've ever seen. There, that's it.
It's getting very controversial.
But there was that one, and then they got to the third one, and they just kind of went, right, okay, we've learned all of our mistakes. Here is our best attempt at a Star Wars film, and it was like...
It was kind of a mixture of everything, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had... The only bad thing about that film was there was no chemistry between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman, and Natalie Portman's writing is just woeful. But you've got... Oh my god, you've got Ewan McGregor...
Just that final fight. Ewan McGregor and
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
God. Anyone who thinks that any sequel lightsaber fight beats that one is just ridiculous. That's such a perfect lightsaber fight.
The thing, for me, it's like where like you say like those, like the prequels really focused on the lightsabers. I think the sequels really focused on visuals, as in, okay, so the, you know, while the like the CGI and stuff was really good on those movies for the time it was made, we're gonna show like how great CGI is now, and they really focused on like all the like the beautiful like backgrounds or like, you know, like those moments.
Cinematography.
Yeah. But when it came to the lightsaber fights, they just didn't make sense, and we've talked about this. I don't think we talked about it in a video.
That's the point I was going to make, sorry, because you were saying about me getting my hopes up. Because I thought, right, they've gone through all that sort of trouble of sort of seeing all the mistakes, and then they get to the point where they can make a good film, a good Star Wars film. I thought we were going to get to the sequel trilogy, and then we're going to go, right, so we learned all our mistakes, let's just keep on making good Star Wars films.
Yeah. And
then I was just like... Because J.J. Abrams came out and said all of the lore after Return of the Jedi doesn't count anymore. You know, they'd spent years writing all this sort of extended lore about Star Wars just for J.J. Abrams to go, right, no, doesn't count. And I was like, right, so they're going to go in a completely different direction here, so this is going to be quite cool, actually. And they didn't. It was pretty much the same.
And the thing was, because it was one of those things where me and Mum defended it purely because I knew it was a good movie. I could see it was a good movie. It was really similar to A New Hope and kind of Phantom Menace. I know you said it was similar to Phantom Menace, but it was still a good movie. And I thought, like, oh, they've still set up these characters, and we can still the trilogy can still improve.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've.
And then we got The Last Jedi.
That's where it's went horribly wrong, isn't it? Because you've got The Force Awakens, which does a good job of setting up
the characters and the story and what's happening,
But they just ballsed it up. Because one of my biggest pet peeves about any trilogy is you always get the same director in if you want the trilogy to be good.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at...
That was the first thing I said to you, was why are they getting a different director? Why didn't they just say, okay, J.J. Abrams, do a trilogy? It doesn't make sense.
You would shell out the money, wouldn't you? Because you're Disney, so why wouldn't you? It's sad.
Because it did have potential. I felt like the characters themselves were really good characters. Like Poe Dameron was a really good character.
Yeah.
Finn, I liked his story. Him like leaving the.
His should have been story.
Yeah.
His should have been story was that, just in case you aren't well versed in Star Wars theorization like I am, Finn's thing should have been that there were more stormtrooper defectors.
Yeah.
Which is what J.J. Abrams tried to do in the third movie,
yeah.
But it was just too little too late at that point. You need to do it in first film. First film, he set up the concept, which is Finn's left.
Yeah.
Second movie, you go, okay, so there are other defectors. We just don't know where they are. And third film, you have Finn leading them. Yeah. And you're like, so this isn't stormtroopers who have been taken from their homes, trained and forced to fight. These are trained people who are choosing to fight. And it's like, that's a better concept than just going, right, there's Ace, there you go, now go. And it's kind of like, that's what they did, and it's just
Yeah.
And again, it's a shame, because they all had sort of potential arcs that they should have done, but they didn't do, and it was just kind of... And the obvious one for Finn and Rey, for Rey and Ben, was that they should have done the double turn. That was absolutely what they should have done. Because, yes, people might say, you know, that was the obvious thing. But then...
Sometimes obvious isn't bad, though.
Yeah,
We've talked about this before.
It's like Revenge of the Sith. Everyone knew how that film was going to end. Still was the best lightsaber fight ever. And emotionally charged, and sad, and cool, and awesome.
That whole series, to be fair, everyone knew how it was going to end. But it's like... I feel like J.J. Abrams kind of... Again, this was the thing in the third one, he came around and was like, well, here's Dark Ray, here's what we would have seen. but obviously they can't do a double turn and a redemption in one movie. Obviously they did the redemption for Ben, but they couldn't have done a double turn at the same time. It would have been too much. So.
And you know what else that's bugged me recently? Do you remember that video that came out and was someone on my favourite platform, TikTok, saying how the movies should have had the names rearranged? The names of the movies should have been rearranged.
I've heard of it, but I didn't actually see it.
So it was something like the first one should have been something like, I can't remember.
Awakening Force or something.
No.
Is that what you mean by rearrange? Or do you mean the order?
No, like the names of all the films should be on different episodes. So
Right,
like
okay.
the third one should have, because it had Order 66 in it, should have been Attack of the Clones. The last one, somehow, episode 9 should have been The Phantom Menace. And there was they came out with this ridiculous order, and I was kind of sitting there going, what on earth? You're talking about minute little points in a film that identify with.
Well, the whole point is that, like, it's meant to be the whole concept of it, isn't it? Like the general direction of the movie is supposed to be what it's named from.
Because one of the ones that was why the first one shouldn't be called Phantom Menace is because it only refers to Darth Maul, and I was kind of like, no, it doesn't. It refers to Palpatine as well, because they say there's 2 Sith. So where's the second Sith? Darth Maul is barely even the Phantom Menace. Palpatine is the Phantom Menace.
Again, that's that whole concept, isn't it? Like I said, of who is the other Sith?
Yeah. That's what I mean. And but I sit here and I go, the only movies that should have had the names rearranged, like swapped, is The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Because she was the last Jedi.
Because she's the last Jedi in Rise of Skywalker, and if you go by like Rian Johnson's movie story, Luke rises to save them all, and it's kind of like that one makes sense to us, but the rest of them just didn't. I don't know why you would ever call the third film anything other than Revenge of the Sith. It's the Sith that have been oppressed for like hundreds of years, getting their revenge on the Jedi that have risen and all that stuff. It just doesn't make any sense. That stuff, I hate when people do that. There's nothing wrong with the names of the movies except the last 2.
We completely diverted from what we were
I know.
talking about.
Most rewatchable films. Let's go back. I said The Mummy, and then we said Solo and Rogue One.
Most rewatchable films. The first Avengers movie. We're going down a really geeky road, but I think the first one in particular, because it sets up. It was
probably my favourite, and it's not too long. Obviously, if you're going to watch Infinity War or Endgame, you have to have the time to actually watch them.
You have to like plan like a week in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first Avengers movie was awesome.
I feel like, as well though, it was really good at setting them up. Because obviously it took what we learned from like their like origins and like the first movies, and continued that on, but it didn't. But it didn't do it in a way that like they didn't have anywhere to go with the next movies.
I also think it was good at, because I think it was inadvertent. I don't know if it was actually planned, but setting up a lot of the relationships that would be further down the line, like Cap and Iron Man. Despite being friends at the end, you saw that sort of friction between the pair of them.
Yeah. Do you know one thing I never understood is those people that said like Black Widow and Banner's relationship is out of nowhere, because she was the one that brought him in the first one. I can understand it was kind of sudden, like it was kind of like okay, but like they did kind of hint at it in the first Avengers movie, so I don't know how. I wouldn't say it was out of nowhere. I
think the thing that a lot of fans don't like about that is that there's no mention of Betty Ross, who was in Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Who's like in the comics, she is
his love interest.
I didn't mind the.
No.
I just didn't like that there wasn't any payoff in
Infinity War /Endgame.
Yeah.
Well, because there was a scene of them talking, but it was they cut out. Yeah. Then obviously in Endgame is like reaction to her dying and stuff.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, because a lot of people say that it should have been Cap and her. That should have been the relationship. But I was always pure. It has to be Peggy.
No, because they're like to me they were brother and sister kind of relationship. That's what that was to me.
That's weird.
What?
You went to soldier to get to snog each other.
Well, yeah, but it's not like it wasn't any feelings behind it though, was it? It was.
Oh, that makes it alright, doesn't it?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like. Just saying, that's the kind of. I feel like that's the kind of relationship that develops after that movie.
Yeah.
Was that they became like a brother and sister kind of thing.
Yeah, I was always a pure Peggy. That's Peggy's the
and
only
plus,
one
like,
that he loves.
I still don't understand why people. I get why people are upset about the fact that Cap left to go back to Peggy, but I don't understand why people are like as upset as they are about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
To me, when we were going into that film, I felt like the only two options were he dies heroically or he goes back to Peggy. I couldn't see an eventuality where he's not one of those two. It had to be either he dies heroically, which ended up being Iron Man's end, and so as soon as that happened, I was like, he's obviously going to go back to Peggy then, because there's only two. Yeah. There was only those two options.
Because the story was ended. When you think about it, Steve Rogers' story was everything that we'd already seen. It was saving Bucky, like his relationship with Peggy and stuff, and like Civil War and stuff like that. And then after that, there wasn't really much else for him to do.
You know what people do? It's one of the things that another thing that I saw about that is that people weren't happy that it was Sam that got the shield and not Bucky. And it's like some people came out and went, well, okay, but he's killed all those people. And it was like, well, Sam's killed people, he was a soldier. And it's like, what you don't understand is Bucky is the perfect soldier, Sam's a good man. That's the mirroring from the first film. Cap isn't the perfect soldier, he's just a good man.
I never got why people were so upset about that. The thing was though as well, Bucky has literally spent his whole life in captivity. He doesn't want to have to be trapped in by holding the shield of being Mr. America and being in.
That's a captain to you.
You get my point though, like he's like this all perfect like American guy.
Yeah.
Being kind of like trapped in those restraints, so it's like it makes sense when you think about it.
While we're on Marvel, the first Captain America. A lot of people will say, I can't believe you've said that one and not Winter Soldier or Civil War, but I do so love the first Captain America.
I do really like that, because the thing with that one though, it wasn't like a typical superhero movie. Do you not think like Iron Man? It was get this like cool, like, you know, he's flying around, he's doing all this cool stuff, and like obviously then you have like the Incredible Hulk, he's like literally a big monster like bashing people and stuff, and obviously Thor is like the perfect superhero movie. But Captain America, it was for a while he was like obviously just this minute guy who couldn't do out. It was like a nice change for a superhero movie.
I just think that I can't even explain it. I really like the first film. Probably because the first film was the first Marvel film where I went, okay, now I'm a Marvel fan. It was that. People might say, well, why wasn't it Iron Man? But because at the time, you know, I had seen superhero movies, but I wasn't a gigantic fan like I am now. Until I saw Captain America.
Yeah, well, I mean, Iron Man came out in what, 2008?
Something like that, yeah.
So you were what? How old were you then?
12.
So you were really young when at that point. So it makes sense that you weren't like a big die-hard superhero fan. I probably didn't become a big superhero fan until the first Avengers movie. Even though I had seen Captain America was the first one I had seen at all, but it wasn't until the first Avengers movie that I was a proper fan.
Yeah.
Because that was in like 2012, and I was 10 at that point, so I was kind of,
I think for the re-watchable films, it's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Re-watchable.
Lion King. That was really like different to like the superhero movies, but The Lion King.
It's a good show.
Best
Disney film.
Even though you're like, there's like that depressing moment when like his dad dies, and even to this day I still like get like tears in my eyes and cry, like proper cry as well. But it's like it's a good movie. The animated one as well, not the live action one.
Not the live action one. Blech.
I don't understand why they called it live action. If it wasn't live action, there was no people in it. It was all animated, so it wasn't live action. I get it looked more realistic. Should have just called it like a remastered version.
I just.
I know it's a little thing, but it annoyed me because obviously it's not live action. If they got real live, somehow they managed to get real lions in it, I'd have been like, okay, I guess that's live action.
Yeah.
But obviously that was never going to happen.
Get a real lion to sing "Be Prepared" like Scar does.
Yeah, it's a bunch of hyenas and stuff. I know.
God, I hate that about the live action one as well.
What?
I think Scar's song is one of the criminally underrated songs of Disney, right? And in the live action one, he doesn't sing. It's like he's reciting Shakespeare. He's just sort of stands there and speaks at them all, and you're like, really? It's like this movie, this story literally is Shakespearean. It's like you don't need sort of. It's
Hamlet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
But it's while we're on the Disney thing, and we're talking about most rewatchable. Hunchback of Notre Dame, most criminally underrated Disney movie of all time.
You get really passionate about that.
Tarzan, another criminally underrated Disney movie. Do you know that's only a 6.7 on IMDb? Really? What a disgrace! I know. I lost all respect for IMDb.
Probably because it's not like a musical. I feel like musical Disney movies. And no, I get the music in it is really good, but I mean, like, they aren't actually singing, the characters.
Yeah.
And everyone, when it comes to Disney, people automatically think musical when that's not what Disney is.
Yeah.
So,
I just think them two movies especially, them two and 101 Dalmatians, are the three most underrated Disney movies of all time.
I love 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I hate how underrated they are.
101 Dalmatians, though, has a really good live action.
Oh yeah.
It's probably one of the best live action movies. Yeah, that they've.
The only good
done.
live action remake.
Because they even did other movies as well. They weren't as good as like the first live action they did.
Yeah, with Jeff Daniels.
But they were still good though.
Jeff
live
Daniels?
Actions.
Is it Jeff Daniels?
I'm crap at names. You know this. You shouldn't be asking me.
I feel like that. Who am I thinking? No, I'm thinking of Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges isn't the one that's in 101 Dalmatians. Jeff Daniels is. So I was right. It is Jeff Daniels.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, those three movies are really, really watchable because Tarzan is really. It's just got a lot of those goosebumpy moments. Then 101 Dalmatians is really good because for some reason everyone always forgets it, and it is really good. And then Hunchback is just. It disgraces me how underrated that movie is. I think it's got one of the coolest bad guys ever. It's like rivaling Scar, who is the best bad guy in a Disney movie. But it's such a human movie, and because it's not sort of, you know, the magical beast who the sort of captured girl falls in love with.
That's the thing, isn't it? It doesn't end in the main guy doesn't get the main girl.
Yeah.
That's the kind of like, and I think as well it was made in the wrong time. If it was made more like recently.
I hope Josh Gad remakes it. Like, that's for me when people say Disney live action remakes. I don't know why you would go Aladdin, Lion King, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and all that crap. Why wouldn't you go, right, okay, let's remake all the underrated ones, like The Hunchback? I hope Josh Gad remakes it.
Well, they did Tarzan, didn't they? I don't think that was particularly good.
Well,
the
they
live
didn't
action.
remake it. They did a sequel thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that was rubbish.
With Alexander Skarsgård, which should have been good. They had Alexander Skarsgård and Margot Robbie. It should have been a really good movie.
Margot Robbie?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Was it not? Her from Peaky Blinders?
No, I'm sure it was Margot Robbie. I'm gonna search. I was sure it was because I remember when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's Margot Robbie."
I'm sure it was her from Peaky Blinders, unless there was two females in it. Which, you know, is pretty scandalous these days.
Tarzan. What was it called? The Legend of Tarzan.
The Legend of Tarzan.
Cast.
It had Christoph Waltz in it, though, didn't it?
Margot Robbie, yeah.
Did it not have her from Peaky Blinders?
Huh?
No. No, it mustn't have done. Oh, look, Matt Cross. Hold on there, Matt Cross. Pro wrestler. Never mind. Anyway, yeah.
So yeah, it should have been a good movie, but it wasn't that good to me anyway.
So yeah, those three movies.
Underrated, most watchable movies.
Re-watchable.
What did I say? Most watchable, didn't I? Yeah. Re-watchable movies.
Yeah, we're recording. Maybe later.
Mother.
I'm into it. She didn't jump scare us this time.
No.
Terminator 2. There's one.
Right. Yeah. The one where. Yeah.
One where it's the T800 versus the T1000.
Arnie
against the liquid one.
I know what you're talking about, yeah. The thing with Terminators is, the first two, I know for definite that they're the first two. I always get the order mixed up after that. Because there's the one with...
So go on then, try and do the order of the Terminator films. By description.
I don't
Show the millions how bad your Terminator knowledge is.
No, because I don't think I've seen the third one.
Just tell me what the order of the films are.
So the first one is obviously the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger's going back to kill.
Yeah. Sarah Connor.
Yeah. The second one is with young John Connor. Arnold's protecting him, and it's the guy that it's the melty guy.
The T1000. Yeah.
Yeah. The third one, I don't think I've seen the third one. I feel like you've told me I haven't seen the third one.
Yeah, you haven't.
Because the fourth one is the one. It's the future one, isn't it? With all the John Connor. And what's his name?
I've literally said it in the podcast.
I know you have, and I can't remember his name.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, yeah. God, how did I forget his name? Anyway, so that's the fourth one, isn't it? I always think that's the third one because I haven't seen the third one. Or at least I don't think I've seen the third one.
I would never let you watch the third one.
Is it really bad?
It's really bad.
Oh, okay. And then after that, it's the newer one, isn't it? The one with Emilia Clarke.
Genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's the newest one.
Yeah. Have you seen that one?
No. What's it called? Dark Fate?
Dark Fate, yeah.
Fate.
Bad, actually.
I know it's reviewed really good. I just haven't.
It's not really good, but it's
well,
better than the rest of them.
Better than what you thought it was going to be. You thought it was going to be crap when it first got released.
I gave up on the Terminator franchise. After Genesis, which is another one that you try to defend.
Well, because I don't claim to know much about Terminator. I like the movie. But you being, actually knowing stuff about Terminator, obviously knew it wasn't that good, but...
I don't believe from a storytelling point of view.
It was confusing. I did get confused. I'll give you that. The
entire thing is convoluted, and it doesn't tell you the main thing, which is how the Pops Terminator got back in the first place. It's like, well, how does he go back then? Who sent him back?
What do you mean go back?
Well, so one of the points in the movie, the original Terminator, the T800 that goes back to kill Sarah Connor, is killed by the Pops Terminator, who's a T800 as well. One of the storylines in the thing is who sent this Terminator back before all of the rest of them to protect Emilia Clarke while she's growing up, and it doesn't tell you who it was. So the entire storyline, the entire sort of timeline of Terminator has been mangled, and it doesn't tell you why, and you kind of go. I remember sitting there watching that for the first time, going, that John Travolta meme where he's going. I was like, what?
I mean,
forget the fact that it's massively convoluted and you don't understand the thing that's happening in it.
I was confused because he goes back, and then they go forward, and then they go forward again or something like that.
Yeah, they've somehow got a time machine in the 80s. I mean, I know Doc Brown invented one, but they didn't go time travelling until real. So.
Anyway.
Yeah, but
the second one was good. We watched the second one more recently, didn't we? And it was good.
Sarah
Connor actually does stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, she's cool.
She just kind of
cool in that one. And she's cool in the recent one as well, Dark Fate. She's good in that one.
Is she?
Yeah. It's good, that film, right? Because what it did was it went, right, okay, so everything that happened after Terminator 2, forget all that. Didn't happen.
Right, okay. So it was that's basically the third one.
The third, fourth, and fifth one, all of them.
Is it?
Yep.
Does it just kind of clean it all up?
Forget all of it.
Okay. None
of it happened. Because the third film, I just can't even. I can't even explain to you what they basically. So John Connor tries to stop Judgment Day because Judgment Day hasn't already been stopped by Sarah Connor, which it did get stopped in the second movie. And then they go to find one of the stupidest points in the movie is that they go to Sarah Connor's coffin, they pull it out, and it's just a bunch of ammo, and you kind of go, what? And there's a letter that explains where she is and all that crap. And I don't know if it's T1000 that they send back or if it's a newer version, like a TX or something, I think it might be called. And because it's, it's modern and it's, this was back in the noughties, I think it was. And they thought, okay, it has to be modern, so we're going to try and make a femme fatale. They made it a female, which, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the female part of it, but she goes, she drives past like a billboard that's got a woman with big breasts on it, and she goes, and then she grows her breasts. And for some reason, that's a scene. And it... Why? Why is...
Because it was the 2000s.
And Arnie has to put star sunglasses on, because that's funny. Because, lol.
Right,
God,
okay.
I hate that movie so much!
But if that's the case, then if Sarah Connor stopped Judgment Day in the second one, then why is the newest one a thing?
Ah.
Does it explain that? Does it actually explain it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to just tell you the plot? Just quickly.
I feel like you're going to do it anyway.
Spoiler alert, yeah. I was. That wasn't even the question. Spoiler alert! So what happens was, it begins the film by going, so they stopped Judgment Day, which is all well and good, but before Judgment Day got stopped, they sent back another Terminator to kill John Connor. Right? So it arrived, then the timeline got changed, so Skynet never happened. But this Terminator is obviously still in their time, and he comes and he does actually kill John Connor. He kills him. And Sarah Connor sort of becomes like sad and she turns into an alcoholic and all that rubbish. But this is the sort of thing that wasn't very good about Dark Fate, is that they could have gone really original with the story, but the story was basically the first one, where not a Terminator essentially comes back to kill a young girl who's going to lead the resistance. And they send back an enhanced sort of superwoman to defend her.
Right, so she's not a Terminator.
She's not a Terminator, but for all intents and purposes, she is a Terminator because she's got like superpowers and stuff. And then they just sort of duke it out, and Linda Hamilton, who's Sarah Connor, comes in, saves her, the Dawnfly. And she's all cool and everything, and she's got a really big gun and she blows them up and stuff, and it's all really cool. And then the Terminator that killed John Connor, because lols, calls himself Carl, and because he's sort of programmed to like live out his days, he gets a family, and the one of the nicer plot points is, it goes, because he's learning, he learns what he took away from Sarah Connor.
Oh, right, okay.
So he
feels
decides,
sympathy for it.
Yeah, he decides to help them because, he's been helping Sarah Connor because the odd Terminator comes back from the future, and she goes and kills them, but she gets an anonymous text and turns out it's coming from him. And every text ends with "for John." So he's like, and now that was that like plot point in the movie was what made it sort of good to me, was that they went, okay, we're going to make the Terminator of all people
the relatable one. So they basically did what they did in Genesis with.
Tried to do in Genesis.
Yeah. They made it like more human.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Because it's weird actually, because now that I'm thinking about it now, they've probably made Sarah Connor more the Terminator character, and the Terminator character the more Sarah Connor character, because she's heartless a couple of times in the movie actually. And then just spoiler alert again, I'm gonna wall up here. He ends up, the T-800 Carl, as he's called, does actually kill the sort of bad guy, and when he essentially kills himself at that point, and he dies. The last thing he says is "for John" as well, and it's kind of like, nice touch. But yeah, that's enough about Terminator. What else is there? This isn't the Terminator podcast. I said Terminator 2, didn't I? Yeah. Just think. I think the Sherlock Holmes with
movies.
Robert, with RDJ.
Which one though?
Both
all of them.
I think both of them.
They are kind of. I feel like since the series came out, they kind of get forgotten.
Yeah.
People kind of forget how good they were.
But I think the series is probably more faithful. Whereas the movies are obviously more meant to be sort of
actiony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're still faithful to certain aspects of Sherlock Holmes, and RDJ.
Well, obviously, it's
RDJ.
set in the right time.
Yeah, RDJ is obviously himself, and it's amazing. And Jude Law is wholesome and lovable. And you know, they've got 2 good villains as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you're watching them.
Jude Law, that's another one. Another British actor who's amazing. And, because he's in the second one, Stephen Fry, National Treasure.
Stephen Fry's great.
Oh, he's just released a new book as well. Troy. Oh,
I know he has because
gonna read that bad boy.
We'll have to cut this out. Because I'm not technically allowed to talk about it, but the word
What?
I was putting away.
You should have nicked one.
Nick, what that? You have to cut that out though, because I'm not allowed to talk about work stuff.
Are you not? Why?
Because I'm not allowed to talk about what I do at work and stuff.
What?
So I get fired.
Just a job.
Yeah, but I'm getting paid to do it.
Yeah, but why would they sack you for saying you're putting stuff away?
Because I'm not allowed to say like what I see and what I do.
Oh, okay.
It's in my contract.
I'm gonna have to find that and cut that out, isn't
I'll just bleep it. But yeah.
Yeah, rewatchable films. I think, you know. I think because it's really darn underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah, I feel like Benedict Cumberbatch was really good in that movie.
Oh, absolutely.
British actor.
There's another British actor, Benedict Cumberbatch, National Treasure.
To me, that was the moment where I was like, okay, I really like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, he's just got that voice, hasn't he? He's got that voice where it's like
he should do like audiobooks. He might already be doing them, but he's like not just any audiobooks, or like ones that make you like designed to make you go to sleep, because he has such a soothing voice.
What, in that film?
Not in that film. I'm just saying, like when he talks normally, he has quite a soothing voice. Yeah. If he was like,
my name is Khan. He seems to have complete control of every single muscle in his face.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when the big ship's just been sort of blown up from the inside, and he goes, "Set destination, Starfleet headquarters." And he says it like that. And I was like, it's so weird, but every muscle in his face is moving, and it's like he seems to just know how to. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, he's obviously not heartless and like motionless like we are.
Yeah, that's true. People can see that I'm dead inside in my eyes.
Oh no!
I noticed Benedict Cumberbatch's muscle movements, which is why
yeah,
I'm dead inside.
I mean, you move your eyebrows a lot. I feel like we both move our eyebrows a lot.
Yeah, well, like Emma Watson. Emma Watson is very eyebrowy.
I was thinking more of Emilia Clarke. She's very eyebrowy.
She is eyebrowy. But Emilia Clarke is the national treasure.
She is.
Have you ever seen that video when she's at the basketball game and the dragon walks past her?
Yeah, and it nails to her. Yeah, and she's there like...
I love that so much. I love stuff like that. Good job, whoever that mascot was. The unnamed hero. Not all heroes wear capes.
Some of them were. What was it, like a bull or something?
No, it was a dragon.
I didn't think it was a dragon.
That's why he kneels. Mother of dragons.
I know, but I thought he was. I didn't realise.
No, I'm sure it was a dragon. I might be wrong.
I didn't realise he was a dragon.
I'm pretty sure it was a dragon.
I know he was red.
I think it was a dragon. I hope it was a dragon, otherwise I'm going to look like a right idiot now.
Yeah.
Here's another one. The entirety of Series 4 of Game of Thrones. I'm going to say it and shoot me. Series 4 is the best series of Game of Thrones.
Better than Series 3? Series 3 was really good.
Series 3 is good, but it's the best thing about it is the worst thing about it. The Red Wedding. I would say it's a mix between the 4th, 2nd and 1st series. Those are the best, like baseline, those are the best 3 series.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Because as I've said in previous videos, after Series 4 it starts sort of steadily declining.
Do you think it becomes a bit more PG? I know that's a bit of daft because it wasn't PG, but they kind of toned everything down a bit.
Yeah. Considering in the first series, a guy ripped a guy's tongue out through his throat.
Yeah.
And then
just Jason Momoa. Yeah. Everything with Jason Momoa.
And then in the last series, it doesn't even show you Missandei getting a head cut off.
Well, I mean, it does in the background. You kind of see a head.
Yeah, in the blurred background, miles away. Doesn't count. That's not showing.
It didn't show you Ned.
I want to see her get their afro cut off.
Didn't see Ned's head get cut off though. That was in the first season.
You saw the thing go through his neck.
Well, I mean, he didn't though. It cut off.
And it was Valyrian steel. Probably cut through his neck like a knife through butter.
I didn't say it didn't. I just said it didn't show you. It didn't show his head like, rolling or anything.
Hasn't Shaun Bean died enough for our sins?
Oh God, that's another one. Actually thinking about it, because I was thinking about all the movies he's died in. I was thinking about one of the only movies he hasn't died in, which is National Treasure.
Yeah.
I really like. To be fair, both of them are pretty good. The first one in particular is my favourite.
Yeah, the first one's definitely better than the second one.
But the second one was still good though.
Oh, yeah,
Considering it was a sequel, and sequels usually like not as good as the first ones. It was still pretty good.
Yeah.
That's quite. To me, I could watch that a few times.
I think that was Nicolas Cage's last good movie.
I mean, I haven't really seen that many Nicolas Cage movies, to be fair.
He's good at playing a character who's really smart. Kick-Ass wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad in that, I suppose.
It was only the first one though, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, he dies in the first one. Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen Kick-Ass.
That came out in 2011. Yeah, National Treasure's a good show.
There's a lot of
Disney movies. Because I've gone back on Disney Plus and I've been rewatching loads of stuff.
Is National Treasure on Disney Plus?
Yeah, it's a Disney movie.
Because they took it off Netflix and I was like depressed about it for like a week.
Yeah, they took it off Netflix to put it on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I just
Willow. Well, no, probably not Willow. Actually, it's not really rewatchable. There's like one or two scenes that are really rewatchable.
Rewatchable movies.
It's not very entertaining content. Just us sitting thinking. Tell you what, we'll leave it there because we're about an hour. We'll leave it there and we'll say this: Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker were not very good. Terminator wasn't very good until Dark Fate.
Just offend everyone.
Christian Bale is the best Batman. What else can I say that's divisive? Hulk and Black Widow wasn't too bad. Should be. Also, Solo's more rewatchable than everything. There. Should be. Anything you want to say that's controversial?
That's controversial.
Oh God, I don't want to know what you're going to say.
I don't know.
Is there going to be a beep? Go on, you're not going to say it anyway.
I can't think of anything.
The Lord of the Rings is the best trilogy of all time. Yeah. It's not controversial. It's fact.
We don't want any more live-action remakes, Disney.
Even I think that's controversial.
I don't. I think they practically ruined the ones they did. Lion King was atrocious. I'm sorry, right? But I love Beyonce, but she was so emotionless in that in the live action Lion King. She had no emotion behind her voice at all.
No, and she was too Beyonce-y in the songs. A duet, you shouldn't be dominating a duet like Beyonce does. You should be working with the person. Poor Donald Glover, it was an American national treasure. I had to try and sort of salvage something. But he was a good casting for Simba. I like that. That was a good job. Good job, Disney.
Yeah.
However, bad job with Lion King. Wasn't very good.
Mulan.
And Mulan. Have you seen Mulan? It's not very good. No.
Why? Right. Do not take out all of the songs when it has one of the best Disney songs ever. Do not have any of the good characters. Don't have Mushu. Why they don't have Mushu? I get really upset when they don't have Mushu. They don't have one of the best bad guys in that Disney movie history. I'm clapping my hands together backwards because I'm getting that worked up.
His name?
I don't know his name, but he's a really good bad guy.
I believe he's called Shang Yu.
Why did you say it like that? He said it so like weirdly. Like
that might be wrong, but I think that's his name. Shall we see if I got that right? But keep ranting about Mulan.
Anyway, yeah, they just took out. I don't understand why they wouldn't have Mushu. I get really upset with the Mushu bit.
No, not the 2021. 1998.
And who else did they take out?
I was right. Shan Yu.
Oh God. What else did they do with Mulan that was bad?
That's why I haven't seen it.
No, who else did they take out?
Shang.
Oh, they did, didn't they? Why would you not have Shang in?
Not only did they take out one of the best song, well, quite frankly, the best song in the movie, they also took out the cool character that sang it. As far as I know, that's what I was told. I don't know if I haven't seen it.
No, he's not in it because it's the whole point is that she's like this empowered like woman, but like I get the whole thing that like because it doesn't end like all other like Disney movies where like you know she like falls in love with the guy. She leaves him and he goes after her.
That happens in Snow White. He chases her, then he kisses her in her sleep, which isn't weird at all.
Yeah, but she's like already fell in love with him though by that point.
Yeah, but he sings in a welder.
Shut up. What?
Does that bit where she goes "Today," and he goes "Today," and she kind of like runs away. Not remember?
Yeah, I remember. It's not the same as Mulan though.
She's not going to fall in love with one of the dwarves who give her a home and feed her and keep her safe from the witch. She falls in love with a strange guy that sings into a welder. Come on, Katie. Talk about realism.
There you go.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. Yeah. It's a good sort of.
That's another rewatchable movie. Now I think about Mulan is a very rewatchable movie.
Mm-hmm. Most 90s Disney movies are rewatchable. Because the 90s was like the golden age of Disney movies. Another Disney movie that they should remake, well, maybe not in live action, but you know, whatever.
Just remake.
The Black Cauldron. Because that was in the dark times of Disney where they'd had sort of, you know, the older movies that came out in the 40s, 50s and 60s.
Yeah. And
then they got to the 70s and 80s, which is where they couldn't make a movie that was like destroying everything again. And then they made Black Cauldron, which sort of got swept under the rug. But then there was, I think my generation is like the last generation that appreciates it. I don't think there's many people in your generation who've even seen it.
No, probably not.
My God, it's got literally the scariest villain in any Disney movie. Because the Horned King is terrifying. It's got really sad, you know, bit in it. It's got good characters. It's a cool universe. It's a cool story. Get on it, Disney. So yeah, we'll leave it there because we've both ranted enough, and we've given you a good list to watch in the lockdown. Is there anything else you want to say?
Mushu should have been in Mulan.
Okay.
It was literally like one of my favourite characters in Mulan, and they took him out.
Yeah, but would you have wanted the character to be butchered by someone that wasn't Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy as Mushu should have been in the Mulan 2020.
Okay. So yeah, we're giving you a good list of movies to watch there, and they'll be in the description as well. We've also educated you on certain movie taps. Let us know what your most rewatchable movies are down in the comments. Let us know what you think of our picks. If you think our picks are controversial, if you don't think any of them are rewatchable, because you might not think they are. I think they are, and I am usually right, aren't I? So the correct answer to that one was yes.
I should have been eye roll instead. Would that be the answer?
Like,
end the video,
subscribe, and thanks for watching.
I need to know.